would you not have the level of compassion to say, if it was my kids, even if they're acting irrationally, I would be irrational too, if I believe that to be fact.
Right.
Which further speaks to the fact that we believe you hiding something, sis. Because a hit dog will holler.
We have been saying Pete this entire time. That means you're hiding something. And Rachel don't seem like the type. If it was not her husband, she would have probably exposed that from the beginning too. Unless there's some person in their family that we don't have any clue at all about. It's probably her husband.
Now let's talk about Pete. The name has been circulating online, and people are trying to piece together who this individual might be. Based on the information I've seen, and I want to emphasize allegedly here, many are speculating that Pete could be Joshua Brown, the husband of Rachel Lamb Brown, who is Joni Lamb's daughter. This speculation isn't random. It stems from social media posts and testimonies tied to the Lamb family drama. Specifically, some online sleuths have pointed to Rachel's public comments, which they say unintentionally revealed connections to Pete's identity. For example, Rachel's post reportedly included references to incidents involving children and statements that seemed to contradict earlier family testimonies. This raised questions about her husband, Joshua Brown, and whether he could be the Pete at the center of these allegations. Again, this is all alleged, and no formal charges have been brought against him.
Ooh, woo! Man. It's getting crazy over there in Dallas.
All right, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Level Up with Larry and Leo, where we turn trials into opportunities and dreams into realities. I am Larry. This is Brother Leo. A few days after Christmas, but we still trying to give y'all what y'all are asking for.
Oh my gosh, bro. This is. Okay, so if you remember some of our last videos, we're like, yo, why is everything's alleged? Everything's conjecture, right? Because we weren't there. But we were asking, why is Rachel so, like, on 10? On 10, when you should really be trying to bring your mother and your brother back together.
Mm-hmm.
But you on 10. And then, so this whole thing is starting to make sense, because when you look at the pictures that we've seen of her husband, he is taller than the victim's son, Jonathan. I mean, the victim's dad. He is taller than Jonathan. He is around the Daystar ecosystem and sphere. And he would be someone who would be invited to family getaways.
Yeah. And that was the first question I was wondering. When they're talking about Pete and, they're disclosing his identity, I'm wondering to myself, who all could have been at that gathering in the first place? There's only so many people who are going to that gathering with them.
Yeah. It's a family getaway. Like, come on, man. You got to be somehow attached to the family. But this then brings up the reason why Marcus would have to hide it.
So let's go there for a little bit. Okay? So let's assume allegedly it is Joshua Brown. What are the implications around that? Based off of what we know about the family thus far, because this brings a whole nother dynamic. What we understand about the father and his allegations, but now we enter in the son-in-law, not the daughter-in-law, the son-in-law, and the daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not so much about Marcus's relationship with Joshua as it is in my opinion is Marcus's relationship with Rachel. What is it within that relationship? Because it seems, and based off of what we're seeing, she's the one that is really going hard trying to push this narrative that Pete has been cleared,
exonerated.
She is inside of the like she is there during the investigative meeting. She's the one that's really trying to make sure that this does not get out. What is it? What is her deal?
Bro.
And bro, based off of a little, and again, this is all kind of new to us. They haven't been married very long. Because I just saw, and this isn't, I don't have the exact time. And in fact, if you do know it, let me know in the chat, like how long that they've been married. But based off of what I saw, we just put up Joshua Brown inside of Google chat, and we saw a Daystar episode 10 months ago talking about Rachel and Joshua Brown getting married and their story. That was 10 months ago. So it couldn't have been that long if they're just now putting out a story about the way in which they got together. So that means that they have only been together for a short amount of time, and there is obviously some issue, it's just weird on so many different levels. So then going back to Jonathan, imagine this scenario. Imagine this scenario, these dynamics. You confront allegedly your brother-in-law.
Oh yeah, they've been married since 2016. I just did my Googles.
8 years they've been married. Not very long, not compared to, wait, how long has Jonathan and Susie been married? We're doing research right now. Real time. So they've been married for not that long. But wait, you got to remember though, we're not talking about right now. We're talking about when the incident happened.
Yeah.
So compared to when the incident happened, what? I think it happened
4 years, right? 2021, 2020.
So 5 years.
Yeah.
Again, that's even shorter. That's an even shorter time frame. So it makes it really weird. Especially, like going back to Jonathan. You run into your brother-in-law doing that. You crash out, but I mean, I'm looking at the picture. He is a lot bigger than him. I have to acknowledge that, right? He is a lot bigger. So I don't know. But hey, Jonathan, he looks like you got a little spunk. So that happens. They have a family meeting. What dynamics are in play that causes Marcus to say no, he's innocent? Is it Rachel? Does Rachel have the same sort of skill set as her mother?
Hey, is
she able to pull the narrative to control the narrative quite like her mother does? That's an interesting piece. It's just an overall complicated. This just adds to an already complicated incident.
Susie's been married to Jonathan for 13 years.
Okay,
as of this year,
not significantly longer, but still longer. But what? Now I'm just like, my brain is going because I want to know what is the deal with Joshua and Rachel. How does that work? And how does it contribute to this overall story?
So here's a here's a couple things I want to say. First, one of our subscribers, which if you're not subscribed, subscribe now. Hit the subscription button.
If you want to be a vibe,
please subscribe. They made a very, very profound point, which they talk about abusers. How he came and confessed, hey, she walked in on me and saw me full frontal, right? Like that behavior gives me the ick because it does kind of proactively lays the groundwork for what's going to follow, right? Secondly, it talks about Pete having a child, and their child lines up in terms of age of the child that Joni described being in his arms, right?
Yeah.
And I think she said a 1-year-old child being in his arm when he was in the room with the 5-year-old that was changing into her bathing suit. So those two things already right there kind of line up. So I'm not saying 100% that that's him, but when you combine the fact that she is so gung-ho, ready to, go through walls to say Jonathan is making stuff up.
Mm-hmm.
And
it makes sense.
It's making more sense than it's not. And then, go ahead.
But this thought came to me. The fact that we still they haven't even disclosed who Pete is, even though it seems pretty obvious.
It would be more explosive. Like, just imagine.
But that tells me how much weight Rachel has in this whole situation. That tells me how much power she holds. Because the fact that he's been disclosed to the public to this point means I wouldn't. Remember, we asked a question in our last video. We said, "What does Pete have over?"
Yeah.
What does Rachel have over the family? That's the bigger question, in my opinion.
Bro, I mean, she might have been closer into the courtship process of Joni and Doug, and she knows. It
seems like, to be honest, she is a lot more, and I don't say this in a good way, wittier than Jonathan. She's a lot more in tune to the way in which Daystar navigates its business.
Mm-hmm.
Much more than Jonathan.
Yeah, Jonathan seems very rosy sunglasses type. Hey, this is the way that the Lord would have it type. Like, you know what I mean? Like
why do we pray?
You know what I mean? Like, it's good, but the foxes and the wolves will tear you apart, bro.
At the same time, a lot of times you don't want to underestimate those guys, because a lot of times they and this is not to say that he has any like ill will or anything like that, but I'm saying a lot of times those people who have that sort of persona, they see what's going on, but sometimes you play stupid. Sometimes because there's a way of getting, when you operate in that way, you can get more information. You're a lot less of a threat. So in some ways you can get more people will confide in you because they don't see you as a threat.
Yeah. And because Rachel didn't hold her peace and just shut your mouth, now, whether true or not, you guys are in the scope of the public eye. Like, okay, why did you come in the paint so hard? Like, why are you going off on social so crazy? Like, nobody, I don't know, but nobody really said anything to you.
I never seen Jonathan attack Rachel.
No.
So now you're attacking your brother?
But then all you have to do is look at the itinerary of those who flew into, I think it was Daytona or wherever that beach house is.
Yeah.
And start to eliminate possible subjects.
And you have to ask the question, if Pete was not a family member, because that's the only person that could have been left. Let's say it wasn't you really think Marcus, like, does Marcus seem like the person that's going to try to protect somebody who's not in the family? Like, who outside of the Lamb family would actually bring the ministry down as much as a family member would? Like, in reality, like, who are you going to really, like, oh my gosh, we have to keep this disclosed, blah, 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 outside of someone that's in your family? Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, come on, man. I mean, we're not dumb. Like, come on, we can make, like, all it takes is just putting 2 and 2 together. Like, it equals 4. Come on.
So here's a couple things that I want to point out that I feel is a failure in leadership for Marcus. One, I think your responsibility as a leader is to protect the most vulnerable. And the most vulnerable in that situation was that 5-year-old. She was not protected, just from the reporting. 2, the culprit, the accused, was not only was he protected from the police and public prosecution and things of that nature, the accused was exonerated without any actual investigation. 3, when that happened, that gave a pseudo license to misbehave. Because now that you've protected me from this blowback, my God, now you're connected to me. It's mutual destruction. Like, after having hidden this away, you can't now come and expose me. Because I'm already part of your conspiracy to conceal. Like, you can't go back and say, yeah, you were guilty of this and that, and from back then. Well, you knew back then, that how come you didn't do anything?
Now, okay, I'm absorbing this, and as I absorb it, different dynamics come out. Because now I'm thinking about it from Marcus's perspective. And I'm trying to humanize this situation, which I didn't think about before. That's me executing this guy means I'm probably not going to have a relationship with my daughter anymore.
Yeah. And she's going to be a single mother.
Right. But furthermore, she probably does know where all of the bodies are buried. Let's be honest. She just seems like that type. And you know how females we try it, bruh. Hey, listen, we're in a non-disclosed location because I don't need nobody coming for me and all this stuff. But we have a situation where, so it definitely does seem like self-preservation. It seems like preservation, and then preservation of the family in general, because she seems like the one who will cause all type of hell.
She will blow it. You expose us, I'm blowing the way whole
more than Jonathan. So Jonathan because you could see his demeanor, you can see he is a peacemaker. He is someone who has a certain level of integrity,
more likely to go with the program,
and he became the scapegoat.
Yeah,
it's like who would I rather go to war with, Jonathan or Rachel? And they said, hey, Jonathan is not going to be is not going to cause as much problems for us as Rachel will. And so he became the guy. They said, listen, you just gonna have to suck it up, bro. You just gonna have to submit. Try that same conversation with Rachel. That same submission conversation, bro. Try that with Rachel. Try that.
Just from her post, I don't know her personally, but that vibe, it's a Jimmy whole different
Evans
vibe.
And all of them come at Rachel with that same thing.
Oh, she got some stuff to say to them.
She gonna have smoke for every one of y'all.
Yeah,
because women keep it down. Don't forget. Oh my gosh, what was that?
I'm sorry, I thought I put on mute. I was yelling at my kids.
Women don't forget nothing. You froze.
That's true. That's true. So you bring up a great point. As Marcus, you have to consider the collateral damage. Who is able to cause more of an issue? The two parents that have the situation, the 5-year-old, you get him counseling. You put some other things in place to kind of help prevent that. Or you go the route of prosecution and potentially your daughter is now a single mother with a 1-year-old, 1.5-year-old kid. And now that relationship is completely broken. And she has more stuff that she can bring to light and blow it all up.
You.
Yeah.
So in the long and because let's just call it what it is. I mean, this organization was designed to explode in one way or another from the beginning. Like when you operate the way they do, there's no way this ends well. Like it just doesn't end well. So in one way, he preserved the organization longer by making Jonathan the scapegoat. But sometimes if you let something cook longer, it makes it look worse at the end of the day. And that's the reason why a lot of this, in one way, maybe it would have been better with going after Rachel, because she could have come, because you could have just said, yo, she's just wild, she's crazy, blah blah blah. Like you could have actually, it probably would have, in my opinion, not only are you gonna protect the child, your granddaughter, so you're not gonna look as bad as you do now, and you are able to, you can just say, yo, Rachel's tripping. Like, what are you talking about? Like, she y'all see how she is? She's wild.
But Rachel has the ability to blow up the spot in a way that Jonathan does not. And if you see how long Jonathan stayed compliant for years, I don't think she would have been able to do that with her husband going through the legal system.
But possibly, and I'm not trying to insinuate motive, but possibly because Jonathan has been told his whole life that he was going to be the president one day. Possibly. So when a person has something to lose,
yeah, he dangled that carrot.
They're more,
which is what they were still trying to do when they had him sign the NDA, was to dangle that carrot.
They were showing you, hey, you have something to lose.
Yeah, this is going to be yours.
Rachel didn't have anything to lose. They weren't giving anything to Rachel, and that's the problem. If I don't have, going back to what we said not too long ago in a few episodes before, when it comes to the Christian Illuminati, like everyone has to have some dirt on somebody. Yeah. Everyone has to have something to lose.
Yeah.
And if you're dealing with somebody that doesn't have anything to lose, they're a dangerous person.
And I'll finish my point by saying this. If you would have held your peace, woman, if you would have just shut up and let your brother and your mom fight it out, no one would have even thought, or less people would have thought, to turn their sights on you and your husband. Now, I would hate for that to not be true, that it isn't your husband, and now his name is in the public sphere. Because you couldn't just shut your mouth and let them deal it out, or try to mediate in the background and bring peace. But no, you tried to further expose Jonathan as a power-hungry individual instead of having the compassion to say, I fully believe that it happened, but let's say it didn't happen, right? They sincerely believe that their daughter was essayed. They truly believe that.
And that's her niece.
Would you not have the level of compassion to say, if it was my kids, even if they're acting irrationally, I would be irrational too, if I believe that to be fact.
Right.
Which further speaks to the fact that we believe you hiding something, sis. Because a hit dog will holler.
We have been saying Pete this entire time. That means you're hiding something. And Rachel don't seem like the type. If it was not her husband, she would have probably exposed that from the beginning too. Unless there's some person in their family that we don't have any clue at all about. It's probably her husband. And I don't know, man.
Because she's talking about conversations that, Pete's wife, who I believe they're calling Pete's wife Debbie, right, was supposedly there. And I think that she would have the leverage to exercise the fact that, I want to be there during that questioning. And just from the post that I've read from her, I think she has the personality to want to take over that conversation and kind of buffer between her husband and the investigator.
If you're going to go to war with somebody, consider what they have to lose. That's like number one. If you're going to war with somebody, you got to consider what that other person has to lose. If they have less to lose than you gotta be wise about the way you're dealing with them, because you can end up, because listen, if you're wrestling with a pig, both of you look dumb, but the pig is used to it. So that's the part, and I think we can end it here, because after a while, once we start recording, our families just start tripping. But I mean, it's difficult as a man. You look at what Jonathan had to deal with when you're being openly disrespected in every single solitary way. Completely disrespected.
You become like Popeye.
It takes a lot of
takes all I can takes, and I can't takes no more.
But I think in the back of Jonathan's head, and it probably and I'm not sure, because I am not mature enough to be able to handle that. I know I'm not. Like, I'm just not at that level of maturity where I can be just completely disrespected by every single person involved, and I got to be able to maintain my composure. But I think deep down he understood. Listen, the more they talk, the more they expose themselves. I don't have to. I don't have to. The truth doesn't need any defense.
Hit
I'll
dog
let
the holler.
y'all just keep talking, and eventually you're going to say something you weren't supposed to say. And I'll just keep playing dumb. Hey, let's pray about it. Hey, what does the Bible have to say? No disrespect. Hey, I believe in the power of prayer. You understand me? Me and Jesus been walking a long time.
But yeah, I agree. Baby girl, I know you're going to hear the public sphere start talking about your spouse as being Pete. Even if he isn't Pete, shut your mouth. Don't say another word. Don't. I'm telling you, you better keep your peace in this moment. Just shut up. Because you're going to dig yourself a deeper hole. Just shut up.
She's not.
But I doubt she's going to take my advice, which may have been why Marcus was like,
Listen,
that could cause more damage than Jonathan could cause.
There's so many, I think we're going to have to do a complete recap. Maybe in 2025, we're going to have to do a complete recap. But there's so many life lessons here. And one of the life lessons is, boy, and everybody's different, but boy, when a woman is scorned, all hell can come into a situation. Women, guard your hearts. Don't do this.
And your boy Joshua's like, I thought I was good. Now everybody looking at me.
I was just watching the kids. That's all I was doing.
Bro.
I was trying to help.
Now you're on Front Street, whether you did it or not. Allegedly, you're that guy. You're pedo Pete.
Listen, if he just needs to go to one altar call and get a few hands laid on him. All right, we gotta jump off this. Y'all let us know what y'all think. Who is Pete?
Yeah,
you tell us.
Yeah.
Who is Pete?
What's the street saying? Because that's what we're hearing. Most people are saying. But what are you guys hearing? Let's have a conversation.
If y'all and if you have another Pete suggestion, let us
hypothesis.
know.
Yes. Let's get into that.
All right.
Until next time.
Be blessed. Peace.